And we're live in 3, 2, and welcome everybody to another edition of the Planetmullins podcast. Today I have an amazing songwriter, producer, recording artist for children with me. Say hello to the amazing Greg Shelsa, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey everybody. Hey Rob, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man, and I'm happy to see that you've got you and your compadre Steve of your band, Greg and Steve. You guys have a new album out, so let's just dive right in and tell me all about the new album.
Well, first of all, Rob, I do want to say that Steve couldn't be here today, so I'm letting you see him in person, just so everybody knows that he is not a phantom.
Oh,
he,
okay.
he couldn't be with us anyway, but
All righty.
so we have a new album, Rob, and thank you for asking. Believe it or not, this is our 20th album,
Wow.
and and even more strange, this is our 45th plus years of recording for children. So it's been
Incredible.
an amazing journey, man. Really crazy.
How did you end up, because that many years ago, I don't remember there being any children's artists really, other than, if I think back to that time in my life, I go, well, okay, let's list all the top 10 children's artists. You kind of go, there was Mr. Rogers and there was Tiny Tim.
well,
How did you
I'm
choose
not
that
sure that Tiny Tim was really a children's artist. You know, there were a few people there. There was a guy by the name of Tom Glazer, and then Ella Jenkins is probably the most famous within the school market.
Okay.
Pete Seeger, of course, did some, but they were not. Ella was the only one that was really exclusively a children's artist, and there was also a guy by the name of Hap Palmer. Now, these were people that sold music just to the schools. They did not get out to the general public.
Oh,
And so here's what happened. Here's how Steve and I really got into this. We came to LA to become rich and famous and the next Beatles. And
okay.
after about 2 months, we didn't become famous yet. So the band started to splinter and guys left. And Steve and I made a commitment that we would stay. So what we did is we started working in schools with special needs kids, which allowed us to work 6 hours a day, and then we'd have time in the evening for our music to do the pop stuff.
Okay.
We were only going to do that, man, for like 6 months. Turned into almost 7 years.
Wow. Oh, amazing.
And we continually did our music at night, and we actually ended up building a recording studio, and I got into writing pop tunes and all of that. And then in 1975, we decided that we needed to move on. We needed to pursue our recording career as adult artists. And the first thing we decided to do, now that we had a studio, we said, let's make an album of these children's songs we've been doing in the schools so that we can leave it behind to all the teachers that were supportive of us. And we took this darn record to a teacher convention in Dallas, Texas, and we took 250 LPs with us.
Wow.
And we figured, okay, we'll probably bring 200 back. But we ended up, to make a long story short, we did a couple of performances there, and we had an exhibit booth. We actually had to order back to LA after a day and a half another 250. So we actually sold 450 in a three and a half day period.
Nice.
And that was the beginning of Greg and Steve. So
Okay. So that's a really kind of unique and different way to get into it, because you guys weren't, going down to radio stations. That's what I did. I had my first LP and I just started going to radio stations with it. Instead, you guys went to a teachers convention, so it's a different market.
it is. And further to that, after we got back, I put a box of records in the back of my Volkswagen. And I went to about 25 educational supply stores that were all around Southern California. And
Oh,
I walk in with a box of records under my arm and say, "Hey, ma'am, here's a demo record of Greg and Steve. Uh, you you can play it in your store." All those stores had record players in them at that time, so we gave them a free demo. And if they wanted to order some, they had the way to call us. So, believe it or not, we started getting all kinds of orders.
uh-huh.
And then, Rob, then this is all pre-internet.
All
We
right.
went down to the county library and we went into a section where they had phone books from all the major cities in the U.S. and we opened them up to all the school supply things in the yellow pages, wrote all the stuff down, came back to the office and started calling them one by one. So that was the antique Google. That was
Right, right. The
that was
telephone book.
pre Google. Yes.
I think, for the young artists that are starting out, particularly ones that are watching now, young people out there, don't be scared by these stories of having to actually physically leave your house to do stuff. Craig and I both came up doing a lot of that kind of thing. And now it's really easy to approach record companies or fans or potential radio stations because everybody's got an email address. A lot of them have Facebook. A lot of them have Instagram or TikTok. And you can take your music and you can, send high quality MP3s all over the place without ever having to leave your room. But before we get to that thing about leaving your room and exercise and what's going on with teenagers right now, I want everybody to see this. You got something in the mail today that looks incredible and you wanted to open it during the show. Can you show everybody what that is?
Oh, I can. Yeah. In fact, let me see. This is 35 years in the making. This is a gold single. I know that you're probably seeing a lot of reflection,
Nice.
but I
Wow.
co-wrote a song in the 86 with a guy that most people would know now as Babyface, but I knew him as Kenny Edmonds. And we ended up getting it recorded by a group called Climax, and I'd Still Say Yes was a top 10 pop record.
Wow, I remember that.
Yeah, man, and it's kind of a wedding song even still, and it gets played a lot. In fact, a little trivia: I'd Still Say Yes was a #1 hit in Hawaii by two different artists. And the first one, of course, was Climax, and the second one was a group called Island Blend, and it
Ooh.
came out like 20 years later, 25 years later, and became a #1 hit. So that's the only song in Hawaii that's ever done that.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, it's an interesting thing, the creative process and writing and getting songs recorded, because I've even been noticing as I do this show, the Planetmullins podcast that we're filming right now, that things that I did a year ago when I first started are starting to become more popular now than they were a year ago. And music is the same kind of thing. Like you can go back and listen to something you did a really long time ago. And yeah, while the, production techniques and sounds and this and that change, still a quality song is a quality song, obviously, as proof by the gold record that you just got in the mail today. That's incredible.
Yeah, man, it's great. And to your point, the albums that we recorded in the 70s, Greg and Steve, 75 was the first one,
Okay.
78 the second, and so on. Those albums still sell today. And fortunately, we're in the genre where we actually still sell CDs, believe it or not.
Wow.
So we're sort of an anomaly, but
Well, I remember reading one article, a write up about you guys not that long ago that said you'd sold over 5 million albums. And I was thinking, that's a pretty good number for guys that were just driving around in Volkswagens handing out LPs to just the elementary school teachers in the beginning. That's a lot of product. But going back to the new album, let's see if I've got this right, is called Get Up and Dance,
It
Songs
is
and
indeed.
Stories That Rock, right?
That is correct.
And what I think, and we've known each other a long time. I've been a fan of you guys, and I remember when you got your first Grammy nomination, which was a few years back, and then watching some videos of your live shows. And you guys sell out everywhere you go. I mean, Thousand Oaks Performing Arts Center and Redondo Beach, and you've got all these parents and these kids. And I think that it's just really a public service in a way. I mean, I know you're getting money to do these gigs and stuff, but what a great way to kind of impact young people. And then a lot of times it's really young people that attend, right? Like,
Oh yeah, the average age that come to a Greg and Steve are 4, 5, 6 year olds, and sometimes early elementary. But
okay,
I have one funny story to tell you. Speaking
okay,
of, we did 2 shows in New York City about, well, somewhere in the early 90s. I don't remember the exact time, but
okay.
we did 2 sold out shows in the main hall at Carnegie Hall. And
Wow,
Rob, that's a 2,800 seater, man.
wow.
And the kids were bussed in from the schools, and we actually, believe it or not, we had CNN come and they wanted to shoot the show just for because we were doing a story on the business channel for CNN,
Okay,
and the theater would only let them shoot from the very back. They didn't allow them to get up close. So all we got are these shots from way in the distance and seeing from the very back of the room. And before the music started, it looked like the place was nearly empty because all the kids were sitting down. And as soon as the music started, 2,800 seats started bouncing up and down.
wow, that's hilarious. Because with the kids that little and sitting down from a rear camera angle, the place would look completely empty because they're so
Pretty
short.
much. And then, there were teachers, and of course, some kids were a little taller than others, but it was just really hilarious.
No, that's great, man. Well, the idea of music and movement has been a common theme through all of your albums with your band Greg and Steve, and I just think hats off to you guys for that, because now if you watch any kind of media, there's a what are they calling it, the teenage obesity crisis is something that's there, and then there's depression and suicide and all this stuff. And I think a lot of that could be attributed, and I'm no parenting expert, but I'm just saying, I think a lot of that could be attributed to just people not being physical, not getting out and exercising, right?
Well, there's no question of that. I mean, you remember when we were kids, although I'm certainly older than you, but we were actually outside playing all day, and we just had to be in by the time the street lights came on.
Right.
And now kids are sitting at home on their phones or their iPads or whatever device they have, and they're Instagramming and TikToking and doing whatever, and they're not moving. So that's always been something we believe is really important, and it's not only just a physical thing in the sense of exercise, but children need to develop their fine and gross motor skills for reading and all kinds of activities that are important as a child or growing up as a child, growing to adulthood. So, we've always done it and we'll keep doing it as long as we do this.
I think it's really great, man, because the whole thing with the internet age, which is fairly recent in history. I mean, we've only had the internet for what, like 40 years or 50,
Well,
and
I don't think it's that long, but in terms of the way we interact with people on the internet, I think it's right around the turn of the century, as I
Uh,
recall. So,
yeah, there's that, and that has certainly impacted, how everybody develops and spends their time. And then more recently, the whole thing with the virus. I mean, um, and I know just from us talking in the past that you guys had a lot of gigs that got canceled during the.
oh God, yeah, about 35.
Wow.
And we really haven't done any gigs since the pandemic started, and because our music is so interactive, we didn't feel like it would be um, effective doing Zoom stuff, and
Right.
I guess we could have, but Steve and I had a lot of stuff going on we had to do, and we were starting to record, so we were focusing on that really.
Right. Well, do you have a gig, any upcoming gigs that we can tell people about? Are you still kind of repiecing your live gig life? Because that's where I'm at. I'm just repiecing my life after all the cancellations.
I think we've got some gigs canceled or not canceled, booked for 2022. But there's nothing firmed up yet because, as you know, the schools are being really, really strict about it, and teachers
Oh, right.
haven't completely come back yet. So everything is really up in the air, and so I don't know, man. I hope we do it soon because I really miss it.
Yeah, I would. I think it's just in the few things that I've done coming back. I personally just really miss it because it's important to my mental health to go out and play and interact with people and do that thing because I've been just doing it my whole life since I was a little kid, and just all of a sudden to have no interaction and no shows, it was weird, man.
Yeah, I can completely identify. Look, Steve and I've been performing for large groups of kids for 45 years, and to all
Wow.
of a sudden not be doing that. I mean, aside from missing the interaction and the performing with kids, which is so much fun, man. I put on about 10 pandemic pounds.
Pandemic pounds. Yeah, I've got a few of those floating around here. Well, there's something else that everybody should know about you and your kind of quadruple threat style career is that you're working with a phenomenal singer now that just did a PBS special. Her name is Sangeeta Kaur, and you
That
introduced
is
me to
correct.
Sangeeta a few years ago, and even had the opportunity to meet her at my last gig that I did in LA before the pandemic. You brought Sangeeta down to Pierre's Fine Pianos to meet me. And subsequently, now here it is a couple years later, and I'm seeing that she's got a PBS special out. Tell me about that.
Wow, yeah, well, we actually could have had it done easily a year ago,
Okay.
but with the pandemic, it was difficult to even try to put something together. And even at the end of the day, we did it in front of no audience. We had to film it on a soundstage,
Wow.
and so we had to create the visual stuff to make it interesting. And my God, the people that Sangeeta had come in and do the all of the graphic stuff to go with each song, just absolutely stunning. Anyway, it's part of a concert series on PBS called Front and Center,
Okay.
and Sangeeta's show was the last show of the series that has shown, and it's going to show for the next 11 months after now. But
Wow.
we're thrilled because Sangeeta's show has gotten so much more clicks on it and watches than most of the other ones, and quite to our surprise, and honestly, quite to the surprise of the series Front and Center. And they even had a show, Rob, of Glenn Campbell's last performance at the Troubadour, and
Whoa.
Sangeeta has beat that one out by a long shot. So
Well, I've seen just little clips of it, and for for anyone out there that doesn't know what PBS is, because I know some of the kids that are tuning in might not even know what that is. It's a television network. It's an old school television network. You know, public broadcasting systems. I did a special for them in 1991 that is still on air, and it's a great national thing that we have here in the United States that does a lot of artsy, really cool kind of things. And when I saw the clips from Sangeeta's thing, it did look to me like that would be something younger people would really like, just because of how stunning. I mean, obviously the music is incredible and she's a great singer, but the visual parts of it are just kind of breathtaking and different. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's just a
it really
different
pulls
thing.
you. Yeah, really pulls you in. Also, with that special, Rob, we were really blessed, and we were able to get John Anderson from the group Yes to perform, to record, write and produce. Let me back up. Write and produce two songs that were in the special, and one of them, John actually was singing with Sangeeta, and he was supposed to be on the set with her during the taping, but we had to do a remote kind of a thing because John has underlying issues that made it, really impossible for him to come. But the music is incredible. And then one other, I mean, there were so many incredible off the chain performers, but Jake Shimabukuro, who is the ukulele god, they call him the Jimi Hendrix of the ukulele. He did he did a duet with Sangeeta that is just the most stunning piece. Just the two of them, Sangeeta singing and Jake on ukulele, and pretty amazing, man. Just really gorgeous.
So, is there a title to her episode or show or anything we can share with people?
Yes, thank you for asking. It's actually the series. You can do I think you can even do a Google or a YouTube search. It's front and center, Sangeeta Carr and Friends. Sangeeta is spelled Sangeeta, and then Kaur,
Okay.
and Friends. So
And then, I want to just, as we wrap up, I want to congratulate you again on your new record and all of your accomplishments. And if people wanted to find out more about you and your album and you and Steve, the Invisible Man, how would they do that?
not completely.
Yeah, hi, Steve. And yeah, be sure and give Steve a shout out when you see him. I haven't seen him in way too long. But what's the best way for people to find your music and to get involved with this incredible? It's kind of like a fitness program, really. It's music.
Well, it is, but I mean, it's more than that. But largely everything that we try to do, we try to incorporate some kind of a movement or interactive thing with it, and it's
Cool.
really important for kids. So anyway, they can reach us at www.gregandsteve.com, and
Okay.
it's the AND is rather than an ampersand. And if you even just do a search, Greg and Steve, you'll find about 50,000 links come up. I guess there's a lot of stuff out on us, and even in the post office on the wall, we got stuff, man. So
Man,
what can
that's
I say?
incredible, Greg. Well, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to appear on the Planet Mullins podcast. And sincere congratulations and good luck with everything that you're doing and continued best into the future, man. You're one of the good guys.
Oh man, that's too kind of you, Rob. And listen, I want to thank you. You'll remember this has to be 25 years ago now. You actually recorded with Greg and Steve. You did a couple of tunes with us.
Well, yeah, I mean, and when you come back on the next episode, let's talk about us in the studio with Hoyt Axton, the greatest.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Let's save that for your next appearance because we had some epic days with Hoyt, the amazing composer who wrote for Elvis and all that. So we'll do that on the next one. But for now, folks, we're going to say we're signing off. Thanks for watching. The podcast is still in season 2. We've got 37 episodes out there, and you can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, TuneIn, and any Audible, anywhere you want. So please check out Greg's music and my show on the other links. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rob.